Hi, it's Leslie, and welcome to another episode of the Why Not Today podcast. And today we're going to talk about consistency, how consistency always wins. And I'm going to go to a Why Not Today moment or years and years and years ago, or not even that many, but whenever I'd go to an event and people would ask me the secret to my success. And actually, I will go back years and years. Within my first year, I went to an event with Mary Kay, and I had arrived or earned the first level of leadership. And I remember people stopping me and like, "What did you do? How did you do this?" And I was so new, I didn't even know that I was successful. But I started them just saying consistency. It was consistently showing people the products, doing a face after a face, and that has taken me for my 31-year career in Mary Kay, and also getting ready to celebrate 4 years of the podcast. So consistency always wins. You know, we all love the idea of a motivation, the spark, the big breakthrough, the overnight success. But here's what I've learned is consistency does always win. Not the talent, not the intensity, not the emotion, consistency. And as I mentioned, my why not today moment, people have always asked, what was my key to success? And the answer has never changed, consistency. I recently listened to a podcast about why consistency always wins. And it reinforced something that I've lived out for decades. Motivation is unreliable. It feels good, it inspires us, it gets us started, but motivation fades. Consistency is what carries you when motivation disappears. You don't build a business on feelings, you build it on the follow through. And back to the Mary Kay, I never broke any big company records, but here's what I did do. I met new contacts consistently. Went to networking events consistently. I booked those appointments consistently. I showed products consistently. I showed people the products, as we said, did faces. I actually had whiteboards tracking 30 faces a month. And I shared the opportunity about this business consistently, not in emotional bursts, not when I felt like it, and not only when things were easy, just steady. Steady effort over time built something powerful. And even when I had to pivot after 9/11 or after COVID and had to kind of do some different things, I was still very consistent in what I was doing, and it made a difference. So, this podcast, almost 4 years ago, I started the Why Not Today podcast, and I made myself a promise that I would be consistent. So at first, I released an episode every other week for about a year and a half. And then I got some more extra interest. I was kind of figuring out what I was doing, and then I moved it to weekly. And I have not missed a week. There was one week where the recording didn't save, and we had to redo it the next day, but I didn't skip it. And as we're entering season 5, we have almost 160 episodes, nearly 9,000 downloads. And this didn't happen because I went viral. It happened because I showed up. Even when growth was slow, even when results felt small, even when no one was cheering consistently, consistency compounded. And it's funny, like I doubt there's anybody listening to this podcast that waits. I release them on Friday, that waits on bated breath on a Friday to say, when's Leslie going to release her podcast? One day, maybe I'll be at that point, but I don't think I'm there yet. But I made a promise to me to be consistent. And honestly, if I truly, this is being vulnerable here, I've been out of town all week. I'm recording it the day before I'm going to post it. And it would have been really easy to say, you know what? I've been gone. I'll just skip a week. But no, I have a promise to myself. And even one time I remember a why not say moment. I was with my friend Therese in upstate New York, and I was going to record a podcast episode that day for that week. If you know anything about me, I'm not that far in advance in things, although I'm changing. We can become better. But I remember we were going for a walk, and I got a text from my guest saying that she had COVID and she couldn't be there. I'm like, what am I going to do? I didn't have a backup. And Teresa's like, well, talk to me. And Teresa had a very interesting journey from surgery. She was addicted to opioids and got clean. And so we shared that story. And I think it's probably one of the top 5 listened to episodes ever. And so that's the key to consistency. Like I could have given up. I could have said, you know what? Somebody's got COVID. I'm out of town. I'll just skip a week, but I haven't. And that is something that I just can't impress upon you enough how important it is. So, and there's research behind it. And this is why it's beautiful. There's James Clear, who I love, in Atomic Habits teaches us that small habits repeated daily create extraordinary results over time. Not dramatic change, not big reinvention, small actions repeated consistently. And I've taught this also when I shared this not only with the Mary Kay team, Mary Kay customers, like wash your face. You will put the products on. You will see a difference. Whether you do it or don't do it, you'll see a difference over time. Exercising, when I taught water aerobics, I taught the same thing. Consistency, doing it over and over, showing up. Angela Duckworth, who I love her books as well, her research on grit shows that sustained effort, not talent, predicts long-term success. And it's not about being the most gifted person in the room. It's about being the one who keeps going. And behavioral psychology tells us something that's even more powerful. Consistency builds identity. When you repeatedly show up and you stop trying to be disciplined, you become someone who follows through. Like I am somebody that produces a podcast and it comes out every week. And that identity shift changes everything. You don't wake up saying, I hope I feel motivated today. You just do it because that's your consistency and you don't want to break that record. I think I shared in a podcast episode earlier about, I think it's James Clear that says, don't miss twice. Consistently is key, but you might miss a few times. Like this winter, it's been cold and we've had snow and we've had ice and there's been a couple of days I missed my walk, but I never missed twice. So sorry. You don't want to miss consistency. So before you keep going, I want you to pause just a moment. And if this message is hitting home for you, if you want or need accountability and structure and actually want to follow through, I want to invite you to check out the Why Not Today Inner Circle in the movement. Because here's the truth. Consistency is easier in community. And inside the Why Not Today Inner Circle, we focus on taking consistent action, not perfect action. We meet weekly, we create simple plans, we track what matters, and we hold each other accountable in a supportive, encouraging way. And so, you know what? I don't know about you, but I don't need another course. What we need is some momentum, some clarity, and we need people around us to remind us why we started. And so if you're tired of starting and stopping, if you're ready to stop waiting for motivation, if you're ready to build something steady and sustainable, book a free curiosity call and learn more about the Inner Circle. I'd love to share it with you. And we are creating something magical and would love to have you part of it. So because growth doesn't happen by accident, it happens when you decide. And why not today? All right, so back to the podcast. Many of us struggle because we are all or nothing. I am a recovering all or nothing girl. We go hard, we burn out, we stop, we feel behind, we quit. I used to do that with exercise. I'd work out really hard and I couldn't move the next day. Then I'd skip, then I'd spiral. But what works? A little bit repeated consistently. I had a friend who's actually right now training for a marathon. Yay, Tamara. I think she was on the podcast. I think in the top 3 listened to episodes. So if you want to check that out, but she's training for a marathon and she's had some injuries. So she wants to take it slow. So the plan tells her how much she's supposed to do. Now, those of us that are overachievers, she wants to do more. She wants to go further, more days, but she doesn't because she knows that's how she gets injured. So she follows a protocol, nothing flashy, nothing dramatic, just discipline. And so let me ask you something. Are you consistent in your business? Are you posting consistently, on social media? And again, I don't know who's paying attention. And I try to be consistent with my posting. There's some things I post every day and nobody comments, nobody likes. I think nobody's paying attention. And then I run into that random person that's like, oh my gosh, Leslie, I love what you're doing. I'm following everything you're doing. I'm currently doing a action promotion in February in the Why Not Today community. And it's every day a different action. And week 1, people were participating. Week 2, it slowed down. So at the end of week 2, I'm like, should I stop? And I put it out there and I had several people say, yes, you should keep going. And they may not comment, they may not like it, but they do see it. And so consistency, are you consistently following up? Are you consistently nurturing relationships? Are you one of these people that goes to a ton of networking events and then doesn't follow up and it falls through the cracks? Like build cadence into your schedule and procedures so you can be consistent. Are you consistent nurturing those relationships? And it doesn't matter if it's once a week, 3 times a week, or daily. What matters is predictability. Posting 5 times this week and then disappearing a month does not build trust. Consistency builds that trust. Trust builds relationships, and relationships build business, right? So we love to call people overnight successes. You see those people that started and it seems like a minute later they're millionaires. But most overnight successes will tell you that their overnight success was 5, 10, 15 years in the making. And the world sees the spotlight. They don't see the repetition. They don't see the boring. They don't see the daily activities when it's not so exciting, but we keep doing it. I listened to a podcast recently talking about Kobe Bryant, and he was consistently doing more than anybody else. So most people worked out twice a day in the off season. He worked out 3 times a day. And so but he didn't miss. You hear people, there's a top person, Mary Kay, that talks about her parents were dairy farmers, and you milk the cows every day. It didn't matter. You still had to do it. And that's what we need to do in our business. Consistency, I've said it too many times, builds trust. Trust builds relationships, and relationships build your business. And I think I said that. And I'm going to say this because I'm fumbling over some of my words, and I don't edit these episodes. And I was talking to somebody earlier about it, and I purposely don't edit my episodes because Why Not Today is about just movement, about doing the things and not being perfect. And that's what this is. I could have easily said, you know what, I'm going to skip a day. And I had a quick half an hour to record this in my day. And you know what, I'm doing it. It's not perfect, but that's okay. So when you take those baby steps consistently, look up one day and realize, which is really hard to believe, that we are getting ready to start our 5th season of the Why Not Today podcast. I have had 31 years in my other career. It seems like just yesterday I had the Why Not Today moment to start my Mary Kay business, and that was 31 years ago. Remember, just yesterday it seems like I had the Why Not Today moment. I cannot talk. Moment to quit my job, and that was over 26 years ago. It seems like just yesterday that I started the Why Not Today LLC, and that was 2 years ago. So it's crazy how fast things happen. And it didn't all happen overnight. It happened because I didn't quit. So here's what I want to share with you. Consistency is keeping the promise you made to yourself, even when no one's watching, even when progress is slow, even when it feels small. Consistency builds confidence. Consistency builds character, and that builds credibility. And credibility builds your growth. So I want you to think about this. I always have an action item for you when you listen to my podcast. Where are you waiting for motivation? Where are you starting and stopping? And what is one just small action you could commit to in the next 30 days? Not big, not overwhelming, sustainable, because sustainability wins. So if you feel like you're behind, I promise you you're not. You're building. If growth feels slow, you're not failing, you're compounding. Keep going, don't quit, and show up again. And one day you'll turn around and realize how far you've actually come. So thanks again for joining me for a Why Not Today podcast. And this is your space for practical tools, real encouragement, and courageous growth. So if you're ready to take action, book a free coaching call with me or explore a workshop or resources I have at the whynotdaymovement.com website. Share this episode with a friend who you think needs it. Leave a review and subscribe. And remember, you don't have to have it all figured out. You just need to take one brave step. And as I always close with, why not today? Thanks for watching or listening. Bye.